Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle. I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Saturday morning and we've still got very fresh smelling fields here. Yesterday I reported on Don Sherfey Jr. and finally, after many continuances of this court hearing being continued and that court hearing being continued, after 15 months after his initial arrest, Don Sherfey Jr. is now in jail. He pled guilty to 4 counts of aggravated exploitation of a minor and 1 count including over 50 images of exploitation of a minor. I talked yesterday briefly about what those charges are, went through his Sullivan County court records, so go and check that out. Since Don Sherfey Jr. has been jailed, I've seen some channels talk about him that I haven't seen talk about him before. So I'm really pleased that more and more people are getting eyes on this guy, because in my opinion, he's a suspect in the Summer Wells case. Now, this is just my opinion. I have no idea whether law enforcement have ascertained that he had an alibi for 15th of June 2021. If he had an alibi that's solid and it's been checked out, fair enough. But law enforcement have never come out and said that. According to his dad, in a conversation with Prayer Garden of America about, I don't know, 8-9 months into the case, his dad, Don Sherfey Sr, said that he'd not even been interviewed. So how did Don Sherfey Jr. get missed? Who is Don Sherfey Jr.? If you've been following my coverage of the Summer Wells case, my extensive coverage over on MichelleAfterDark, you'll know who Don Sherfey Jr. is. But with there being more eyes on him at the moment, I want to give a quick recap into who he is, how he's important. And no, the charges that he's got sent down for now are not to do with Summer Wells. This would be a different case. But since January, I've had my eyes on this guy, and it's a big concern. He was out on bond when Summer disappeared, but it was less than a month after his arrest. Initially, it was for 1,000+ images of Child P. I think due to, pleading guilty, some of that's been dismissed. It's not unusual that that would happen, but it's annoying. But he's got 6 years. And I know it doesn't sound long enough, probably more than you get in the UK, if that's worth anything to you. But he has to serve 100% of that sentence, according to one of my brilliant people, brilliant researchers in my FB group, who rang up Sullivan County and asked them. So 6 years and he has to serve 100% of that sentence. But why is he concerned in the Summer Wells case? Well, his dad, Don Sherfey Sr, is the boyfriend, the long-term boyfriend. Doesn't live there. He has his own house on Reservoir Road in Sullivan County, very close to one of the Bernard properties, incidentally, but that's just incidental. And he stays there a lot. He's the guy that confronted the Heels on the Ground people when they were there back in December, January. And that's how we became interested in Don Sherfey Jr, because his dad drew attention to him. So Don Sherfey Sr, Don Sherfey Jr.'s dad, is the boyfriend of someone called Christy Morg, who is the daughter of someone called Mary Goad Sexton. She recently died, so rest in peace, Mary. Her maiden name Goad, she married a Sexton. Her brother was William Goad. William Goad was Don Wells' stepfather. He was Karen, Don Wells' mother's third husband. And it's William Goad who owned the property, 110 Ben Hill Road. And he died in 2007. When he died, Karen took ownership of 110 Ben Hill Road. And then when she died via a quitclaim deed, Don acquired that property, and the rest is history. That's how Don, Candice, and their children, including Summer, ended up living in Tennessee when they're not from Tennessee at all. Candice originally from Wisconsin, Don, Utah. Well, Don's got an interesting past. Actually born in Florida, but anyway, again, just not relevant to this video, but I do like my tangents. Don Sherfey Jr., according to his dad, in discussion with Prayer Garden, had not been to Mary Gord's property for, since early 2021. Well, how does he know that? How does he know that? Because at the time of Summer's disappearance, his son was 28 years old, a grown man, who, according to his dad, made a mistake regarding the child P. Just a mistake, that's all. Played it down like you would not believe. That's a big red flag to me. Playing down something so serious when 4 counts were aggravated, especially, is alarming. Was Don Sherfey Jr. around Ben Hill Road at the time of Summer's disappearance? We don't know. But if he was, let's say, for example, he was the person who set up the camp very close to Ben Hill Road, only about, what, 800, 900 metres on top of a ridge that came from cracking cases found on the next property over from Mary Gord's. You see, Mary Gord's property on Simpson Road is one of the closest to that of the Wells. It's literally a stone's throw away. You can actually see the house looking up the cutting that the power lines make through the trees, through the woods. So although, yeah, this area is heavily wooded, there's so many power line cuts that make it easy for children out there playing. Don Sherfey Sr., same conversation with Prayer Garden of America. That was one of my family members. He said that he's seen Summer numerous times with her brothers out there on the roads, having to stop for them, he said. He's one of the people who claims that Summer did leave the property, but claimed his son couldn't possibly have anything to do with Summer, even though we know he's got a liking for minors. But as I've discussed in previous videos over on MichelleAfterDark, just because he's got these child P charges, which he's now been convicted for, doesn't mean he would actually steal a child. However, a proportion of those people who start with non-contact offences, like child P, do go on to commit contact offences. And with the proximity of a property that he does have access to, being so close to the Wells, and those footprints that were Summer's, one set of them, I think it was a set of 3 little footprints, were found on Mary Gord's property. One of the scent alerts that the dogs made on a property very close to that of Mary Gord. What if Don Sherfey Jr., who does know Summer, or at least knows of Summer, had been scoping out that area? Thought he was being clever by not doing it around his dad's property, or maybe there was no access to small children around his dad's property or his mother's property or anywhere else he stays. But he knows of Summer, so he took the opportunity during the summer of 2021, after he was arrested, one final hurrah, because he didn't know it would take 15 months for him to get slammed into a cell. He's in Sullivan County Jail at the moment, but presumably he'll get moved to federal prison, I'm guessing. He's a concern. When I did my Summer Suspect series over on MichelleAfterDark, he came up number 2 in my top 5. If it turns out that the family had nothing to do with the disappearance of Summer, and she left the property a little way, just a little wander down the hill or up the hill where the power lines go onto Mary Gord's property, or she was spotted by somebody scoping out the Wells yard via that cam found, sees Summer, inches a little bit closer, and then takes his opportunity when she's on her own, he'd be my number 1 suspect. he would. And he got missed because he doesn't live there, doesn't live on Ben Hill Road. And at the time, he wasn't on a list. He wasn't an RSO then. He is now. He'll be registered now when he comes out, but then he wasn't. He got missed. So many red flags with that guy. Is he the answer to the Summerwells case? Don't know. All I'm saying, all I've been trying to get across since January is keep this guy in your sights. If law enforcement have cleared him, then great, law enforcement have cleared him. But we don't know who's been cleared or if anybody's been cleared. We're told that nobody's been cleared. Is Sherfey Jr on that list of people that they're looking at? He wasn't, but hopefully he is now. Because if it turns out that it is him, he was out on bond, which is a travesty in itself. But if it turns out that it is him, it's actually YouTubers that have directed law enforcement to him because they missed him. They missed him. Before I sign off, you might hear a slight change in audio quality. It's because my fancy pants lapel mic decided to lose charge. Anyway, so before I sign off, final thing is that the Goads and the Wells do not like each other. Mary Goad felt that 110 Ben Hill Road should have been hers when her brother died. Don's talked about this on a number of occasions. The Goads have believed that it should be Mary's, passed down to her children, not Don Wells's. Does that have anything to do with the disappearance of Summer? Don't know. But it creates an interesting environment of which people who hate the Wells aren't going to help the Wells in finding out what happened to Summer, and will defend one of their own who maybe did. So I'm going to call it a day here. And goodbye from Miss Tillington and Miss Cassie Springer.